Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello, nerds! How are you? I'm doing pretty good. Today we are talking about why you can't make progress towards your goals. This will be a two-part series because there is two main reasons I want to explore with you. The first one is that there are unconscious goals pulling you in the opposite direction. This is what we are going to dig into today. And next week, we're going to talk about the other reason why you might not make progress towards your goals. And it's that they're not compelling enough. And we're going to discuss the three aspects that need to be in integrity for you to want to pursue those goals actively with a fire lit up underneath your butt. That's going to be next week, okay? Little sneak peek. This week, we're talking about how the unconscious is slowing you down. So I want you first to think of a goal that has been on your mind for a while, but you don't take it seriously. You either have not started it at all, or you have taken a few steps in that direction, but ran back into the cave of comfort a few times. Or maybe there are opportunities coming your way, but you seem to sabotage them one after the other. So think about that goal and then ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid in the pursuit of that goal? What are past wounds I am desperately hoping not to experience again that I want to protect myself from? And how does that influence the actions I take or don't take when it comes to reaching my goal? And in what ways do these behaviors slow me down? Let me give you a few examples. Let's say you want to be recognized at work, you want to be given more important projects, but you're scared to look like an idiot if you share your ideas, so you stay quiet. You get resentful, and you wish they would see how smart you are instead of you having to show them. The conscious goal here is to be recognized at work, but that might mean you have to take risks every now and then, show them what you're capable of. And if you're unconsciously trying to protect yourself from embarrassment, then those two don't match. Those two goals are contradictory. Let me give you another example. Let's say you have a business or an art practice and you want to promote it online, but you are scared people will think you're too much and you're taking up too much space on their Instagram feed. So you stay quiet most of the time and you don't make any sales. Unconsciously, what you're trying to do is to protect yourself from people disliking you, right? And this unconscious goal is taking over and squashing your conscious goal to make money from your business or from your art, or to get as many people as possible reading your blog or listening to your podcast. One last example. Let's say you are single and you want a relationship, but you are unconsciously terrified to be rejected when you show who you really are. And that might show up in all kinds of different ways, like, for example, not being authentic when you meet people, or being hypercritical or over-analytical of them and not being really in the present, able to get to know who they really are, or just running away as soon as you start feeling too close, too intimate with them. These are all examples of how you might, in one hand, have a conscious goal that you really, really care about, and then in the other hand, having an unconscious goal that messes up all of your efforts. It's very frustrating But it's important to put your finger on what your unconscious goals are, because they will always win unless you bring them into awareness and you tend to them. The work here is to figure out what you're trying to avoid, what your inner child, your scared inner child, is trying to avoid at all cost, and make peace with that. There are 4 ways you can do that, and I'm going to tell you about them. The first one is to expand your capacity for discomfort by getting better and better at nervous system regulation. Let's say you're planning your week and you want to promote your new blog 3 times. Okay, it makes sense to you. That's what we're going to do. We've got a plan. Now, when it comes time to talk about it for a 3rd time in your stories, you might have a thought that says, oh, people are going to think I'm annoying with this. And that is perceived as a danger to your primitive brain, because we are wired as animals to want to be part of the tribe and to avoid any behavior that would have us kicked out. So if the tribe was to find us annoying, what do you think they would do? They would kick us out. And that reflex, that instinct is still in us unconsciously. And so what happens is it sends a signal of alarm. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's better to stay quiet. And your nervous system falls into dysregulation, just as if you would have seen a tiger in front of you. It's danger of death, because being kicked out of the tribe just meant you were going to die alone in the wilderness. Same thing. So you want to practice noticing when your nervous system falls into dysregulation. Maybe your hands get moist. Maybe you get shaky. Maybe you have trouble breathing. And then learn techniques that help you get back to a place of groundedness. For some people, it's breath work. For some people, it's meditation, going for a walk, taking a bath. What is soothing to you? What are the little things you can do that you know will calm you down? It might be as silly as like watching cute animal videos on YouTube or watching videos of people drawing. I know that can be very calming for me. In other words, what you're doing here is taking care of your scared inner child. You're like the inner parent that's compassionate, that's understanding, that comes in and says, oh, I know, come here, it's okay. So that your inner child starts integrating that they are safe, that everything is okay, and you've got them. But you cannot skip that step. You cannot, what I see many people do, and what I also do sometimes, is try to intellectualize what's going on before calming down. No, this is like a toddler having a tantrum, and you're telling them that their tantrum doesn't make sense. Of course it doesn't make sense. That's not the point. They're at an age where they need to be comforted. So you need to act accordingly instead of pretending that they're a grown-up able to understand rationally. It's the same for all of us internally. Sometimes we fall into emotional childhood and we have to take care of ourselves accordingly. Then once you're no longer in survival mode, we can move on to step 2, which is to enhance your thinking. What's the thought that freaked you out? In that example, it was, people on Instagram are going to think I'm annoying. In this situation, enhancing your thinking is asking yourself questions, getting curious. Like, so what if they do? So what if some people think you're posting too many stories? What do you make that mean? Are you sure that that's true? What else could be true? Maybe it's okay for some people to think you're annoying. They can unfollow you, they can mute you, and then the people who stick around, they're the ones that are going to buy your art. They're the ones that are going to hire you. They're the ones that love what you're talking about, that love it when you share more from you. And they're the ones that matter most. This is about getting better at perspective shifts, at looking at the world through lenses that are going to benefit you moving forward. This is what I do with my clients all the time. Let's say you're scared that someone you're dating will reject you. That's because you make it mean that if they reject you, you're not worthy. But are you sure that that's true? What else could be true? Maybe that's just telling you that they're not the right person for you. You want to be with someone who loves you just as you are, with whom you feel comfortable being your authentic self. So what I say here is good riddance. Yes, it hurts your inner child, but your inner parent is able to stand up for yourself and say, you know what? If this person hasn't been able to see your goodness, then let's move on and find someone who will. This leads me to step number 3. If you're going to make peace with what you're trying to avoid, you have to make a pact with yourself. A promise to have your own back no matter what happens. Let's say you take a risk at work. You present a bold idea that you think could improve the company. And then your managers shut you down, or they don't seem that interested and they move on to something else. Now, the way you show up for yourself in that moment is crucial. Are you going to beat yourself up? Are you going to tell yourself you should never have told them about your idea? Or will you tell yourself that you're learning from this, that it was courageous of you to show up and try something new? If you're mean to yourself when you put yourself out there and it doesn't go as expected, what you're teaching your unconscious is that it's not safe for you to put yourself out there and try something new. Let's say you sign up for a training program. You're supposed to run every day for 30 days. And then after 5 days, you stop. What are you going to tell yourself in that moment? Are you going to tell yourself, oh, there you go again, never finishing what you start, how lazy of you? Or are you going to tell yourself, it's okay, let's see what happened. Maybe we can start again tomorrow. Or what is it that you need? Do you need better shoes, or do you need more? What's going on? What is your relationship with yourself? Are you being a friend to yourself, or are you being a mean boss to yourself? That is having such an impact on whether or not you will keep going towards your goal. Because if you are next to yourself, whipping yourself every time that you are not up to your impossibly high, unrealistic standards, then it just makes the journey awful. Let's say someone asks me about my services and I tell them how much it costs and they tell me it's too expensive. I have a choice. I can tell myself, oh, they're right. I guess I'm a greedy person. I'm a bad person for asking so much. Okay, that's an option. The other option is telling myself, no, I know I'm a good person. This is how I price my offering. It's okay if they don't want to buy. They can go see someone else, and there will be other people that come my way. This is just another version of step 2. It's a way to enhance your thinking. It's a way to make your thinking more neutral and also kinder, more compassionate. Practice being mindful of the stories you tell yourself. Do you tell stories in which you're the victim, in which you're the idiot? Or do you tell stories in which you're a courageous person who's doing their best, sometimes making mistakes, but always getting up and trying again? What's the kind of stories you want to tell about yourself? And lastly, number 4, the last step to make peace with what you're trying to avoid is to trust your resourcefulness. Basically, go to the worst case scenario and show yourself that you would figure it out, whatever happens. Let's say my worst case scenario is getting canceled online. I know that I would figure out what to do next. I wouldn't just, become homeless and die underneath a bridge. No, I would probably find another job. I would still have friends who love me. I would have my parents and my sister whose thoughts about me hasn't changed. I'd be able to move through the sadness. I would be okay. So what's the worst case scenario that you're afraid of? Ask yourself and then connect to your power. You have so many inner and outer resources. You are smart, you are capable. What are the different things you could do if that worst case scenario came into being? Who could you reach out to for help or for support? Who are the people that would be there for you? It's never as bad as we imagine it's going to be. Our brains are so good at catastrophizing, at spinning in circles, imagining the worst case scenario. But when you actually stop and look at it, put it down on paper, it wouldn't be that bad. Yes, it might feel awful, but you would be okay. I used to say in college, it's going to be okay in the end, and if it's not okay yet, it means it's not the end. It is, however, almost the end of this episode. Today we talked about how unconscious goals are going to mess up with your conscious goals if you don't bring them into awareness and make peace with them. The 4 steps to making peace with what you're trying to avoid is actually the first one, I should say step 0, is to know what that is, okay? And then step 1, expand your capacity for discomfort. Get better at working with your primitive brain, calming your primitive brain down when it perceives danger so you can get back on track. This is calming your scared inner child so your inner parent can make real progress towards what matters most to you while ensuring that your inner child's needs are met. Step 2 is enhancing your thinking. So basically you can ask yourself, how would someone wiser than me think about this? How would someone who has achieved what I want to achieve would think? How would Oprah think? How would Gandalf think? How would, I don't know, McGonagall think? Just practice questioning your limiting beliefs. Practice questioning what you've been taught in our society to believe is true, because very often it's just made up rules getting in the way of your liberation. So let's do some rebellious rewiring of your thinking. This is what I do with my clients all the time. By the way, if you want to work with me, I'm available for calls right now, free calls where we get to know each other, where you tell me about what's going on for you, and I'll tell you about how I can help. If you find yourself running in circles, not being able to reach your goals and getting tired with yourself, please book a call. Working together is going to change your life. You're going to stop putting yourself in your own way and blow your own mind with what you can do when your mind is clear and when you know how to manage your feelings. Now, step 3 was about promising to have your own back, improving your relationship with yourself so that there's not constantly a fight internally between the part of you who's trying things and then the part of you who's beating yourself up. That is bound to make your life unbearable, okay? And lastly, step 4 was to trust your resourcefulness. To remember that you are effing smart and capable and that you would figure out whatever happens next, that you are surrounded by people who love you and that you would be okay even if you fail. Failure is not an end in itself. It's just a milestone along the way that you would get back up and that you would keep going. Sometimes we forget that. We just think that we're silly, incapable beings that would crumble if it didn't work out. But that is so far from the truth. Okay, this is it for today. Next week, we're going to talk about how to make your goals more compelling. In the meantime, though, if you want to book a call with me, you can do so at selfgrowthnerds.com/audacity. By working with me, you will deconstruct all the unconscious forces that are getting in your way so that you can go full speed in the direction of your goals, so that you can get really clear about the vision for your life. What kind of life do you want to lead? What's going to light you up? And instead of just dreaming about it, go in that direction wholeheartedly. That's what I help my clients do. I help them stop letting their overwhelm, their doubts, their indecision fuck up with their life. I was looking for a better word. Sorry, I didn't find it. If you know deep down that you're not reaching your full potential because you get stuck in outdated beliefs, in old patterns, then it's time to book a call. If you look at people around you and you secretly or not so secretly feel envious of how bold they are, how they seem to have an ability to express themselves unapologetically, if there's a lightheartedness about them that you wish you could have for yourself too, then go to selfgrowthnerds.com/audacity, because that's exactly what I work on with my clients, and we might be a great fit. Okay? So I cannot wait to meet you. And to everyone, I wish you a great week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye! If you love what you're hearing on the Self-Growth Nerds podcast and you want individual help finding a new direction for your life and developing the courage to make your dreams a reality, you have to check out how we can work together on selfgrowthnerds.com or message me on Instagram at selfgrowthnerds. My clients say they would have needed that support years ago. So if you're tired of feeling like you're wasting your life, don't wait. Get in touch now, and I cannot wait to meet you.